And game number one.
You and I have been hyper-focused on MSI and EWC, as some of our teams, obviously, that were there were. But the other teams, like DPlus, bro, all of our domestic teams that didn't travel, have spent the last few weeks getting ready here domestically for what is a new patch. So their read is obviously going to be massively advanced from the read that you and I have from landing yesterday.
Yeah,
returning to Korea. So I'm curious to see if things will really change massively here, or if it's going to be a little bit more of the same, with picks like Vi being unchanged on the patch, but still incredibly easy to execute. The Azir incredibly strong still. The Pantheon that really rose up massively towards the end of MSI and at EWC is another big look. And the Varus, that was the king of AD carry, will be taken away from Hype here at the outset.
All right, so not looking like there's too many changes just yet. We'll see whether the Ziggs gets a look in, as of course Orcs did tell us that his buffs are ridiculous, and they are. I mean, a 50% AP ratio buff on his Hextech Minefield doesn't sound balanced to me. No. That's going from 30% to 45 is just really dumb. Anyway, we've got the Yone going to be taken away next, and there is the Trundle ban as well. Xiu can be playing some tanks a little bit more comfortably, and of course, Croco is just a fantastic Trundle player, so just taking it away makes a bunch of sense.
Looks like Showmaker's Azir to me, Atlas, here in this
I mean, they buffed Azir. Why did they even need to do that? Never mind, Gwen. It's Xiu, so sometimes you just got to pick Gwen.
The Rumble is open as a potential response to this, though, so a fairly risky pick. Same to be true of the Taliyah into the Azir, and Closer's Taliyah is amazing. We saw it to great success in rounds 1 and 2. It's one of his best picks, if not his best pick, I think, of the year so far. And I've been saying it, you know, it's already round 3, day 1, but I'm like, it's the year of Closer. It's Closer's best of the year. Anyway, the Gwen will come through. It feels like the best answer here should be a Rumble, but we have seen Ambessa attempted by players like Morgan in the matchup. We've even seen Jax return to play quite significantly recently. But they're looking for the Wukong initially here. We'll lock that one in. With a lot of jungle bans, it does make sense.
It does. Croco cycling through a bunch of stuff. We'll see whether they do decide to lock in their answer to the Gwen already. She does deal with tanks quite effectively, so it's not as easy as just pick Sion and be happy, because of course the Trundle was already banned on the side of DK. But we'll see where he wants to go. I mean, the Renekton's up. It's a possibility here to pair alongside the Wukong, but I don't know whether it's going to be a Draven, especially when it's Hype playing instead of Bull. And there is the Aurora. And this is likely going top lane as well. We've seen it become a big favorite against the Gwen.
Yeah, I think it is going to be going top lane. Like the Rumble, it's a good matchup into the Gwen. You know, Rumble is able to duel into the Gwen with his Flame Spitter really well, but Aurora just kind of spaces the Gwen out and makes it really difficult for the Gwen to trade or get Qs off with the weirding. As soon as you see the Gwen go in, you just push yourself away, trade aggressively. Whether you're going Electrocute or the Grasp. As Showmaker looking for the Taliyah lock-in here, which is pretty flexible, will be kind of a tougher matchup if the Aurora happens to be flex mid. Again, unlikely, but it's a lot of power with the side lane of this Gwen. The Gwen gets big, she pushes hard, and then the Taliyah supports that with Weaver's Wall.
Yep, and you also kind of deny the Azir just a little bit as well, so you're going to be picking that instead of having to play into the inevitable Taliyah. As what is Lucid going to be playing here? As the Poppy looks to be the consideration. Man, it is the anti-dash.
It's really good into the Wukong, you know. The Taliyah plus Poppy makes it difficult for Croco to engage the way he wants to in this draft. And if he ends up getting caught, the Gwen will just shred him to pieces in a team fight. Might even just duel him on a flank if he's looking for the big wraparound. This is a really interesting call now in terms of what they're going to pick here. Going to reveal that location of the Aurora as we already expected. It's just going to be Closer's Ahri here.
Have you ever just looked at, like, you're not allowed to dash on the enemy team and picked a champion whose kit revolves around an ultimate that requires you to dash?
I'm a little bit concerned about it too, because the power of Taliyah into Ahri is insane, because if you are able to react correctly and predict the dash, you can just punish that go forward. Yes, with your rocks, but also with just a shove. You put yourself in harm's way. So very risky draft here for Bro at the beginning of it, but it has a lot of explosive power and a lot of engage opportunities if you can circumvent the Poppy. Yeah, maybe if there's just so many dashes, she can only stop one, and someone's going to get through.
I guess. And of course, Ahri in the lane is actually decent into the Taliyah. We have been seeing it all year long, but seeing Poppy and Taliyah together, I just wouldn't want to pick Ahri, but maybe that's just
I mean, Azir also dashes, but he can also just kind of stand there and wail on you, so
that would be, that sounds okay. As they're not going to be taken away, it looks like supports are going to be the focus here for the next round, as both teams needing to lock away their bottom lanes. And the Alistair is going to be the next one to go. Rel stocks through the roof right now, especially when it's Polo and Beryl that are on either side of the rift.
I feel like Jinx is really good here for Bro. I know I'm kind of the guy who says Jinx early. I'm the wolf that cried Jinx. But it feels really strong with their comp because they have a lot of pick potential. There's a lot of upfront burst with this Aurora. So I wonder if they're going to consider a lane like that and can go for support first and keep it a little bit open-ended. As Kai'Sa is going to ultimately ban, and I thought it would be the Rel too, so maybe they just take that now instead.
Yeah, I would expect that that is something that they'd be looking at. Could be a Poppy in the bottom lane for that reason, right? You can interrupt a bit of what Rel wants to do, and can actually, you know, give you some options for some funny business. Lucid could go towards something a little bit more aggressive, perhaps like a Lee Sin or a Viego.
You could even go Sejuani with this Gwen pick if you wanted to swap the Poppy into support.
Yeah, true. Although Lucid on a tank, do we want that?
I don't know if we want it, but it is going to be an Ezreal lock-in here for hype rather than something like that Jinx. Just a little bit safer and kind of just avoid the shove. That's the main thing. It's going to be very difficult to push this Ezreal into a wall, although we have seen it before.
Yep.
And now here for DPlus Kia, what's the answer? Kalista has been everyone's least favorite right now. I don't think we'll be seeing that. Caitlyn has fallen out of favor quite a bit. So it might just be with no Varus here, Sivir, because of the wave clear that it's going to provide.
Well, this is a Gold King champion right here.
It certainly is, as everybody wants to hover Nunu. I don't know where this started. Someone's going to have to catch me up.
Well, it's probably not going to be picked, although Beryl is hovering it.
But it's been like hovered. It was hovered like all through EWC. I mean, it was hovered.
He could actually lock it right now and just play Poppy in the support role. You never really know. Beryl is just going to hold on to that for the moment, and we'll see what he does decide to lock away, because Rel is looking pretty strong.
Karma or Bard feels like the best to me.
Oh, it's double ulti in the bottom lane. I actually kind of like this. AoE speed up and AoE speed up paired together. This is an old lane that we used to see many years ago.
Now I think you have to have some sort of range support here. You already have great engage with the Wukong and the Ahri, so maybe it's just going to have to be the Bard I was talking about matching this. Otherwise, I think you just get hard pushed and you never control mid lane, and then Ahri can never find angles. You already are so desperate to find angles around the dash. Neeko, another range support that is often banned, and we very rarely saw it get be available this deep in a draft, so it kind of slipped my mind, but a little bit tough to pull off with this composition. But if you catch someone with that root from Neeko, and then the charm comes through, the Wukong engage, you get a good Pop Blossom angle. It is very strong, but it's hard to get access with this Poppy, with this Taliyah. And I feel like what DPlus's draft has is a ton of side lane power and wave clear. Like, are you ever going to be able to get to an objective first against this comp that just constantly clears waves and threatens your sides and then can protect its sides with that Taliyah? That's my biggest problem here with how Bro's going to have to approach 5v5 team fights.
Yeah, I feel like the setup for DK is absolutely fantastic. I think once you're in the thick of things, Bro's composition team fights extraordinarily well, right? Like AoE, CC, absolutely everywhere. Like Cyclone and Pop Blossom by themselves is probably enough. But then there's, you know, Aurora making zones of death for the team. So it is going to be a great comp for Bro if they can actually make it to those 5v5s, but it's getting there that sounds so incredibly difficult, especially when you're dealing with a Poppy that's booping you away. Like, you're trying to go for a lot of these engages, but if, say, you're charging a Pop Blossom and then Poppy says goodbye, then you're probably going to lose that 4v5.
Yeah. I think people really do underestimate how limited your engage is when you can't see where the enemy champions are. You know, we could talk for days about what this comp could do, but when it can't actually find the angles, it does very little.
Yeah, but we'll just have to see how it does go. I think DK coming into this, I guess it's not really the next season, but our next round of LCK looking pretty good in the draft.
미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Onto the Rift for game number 1, DK versus Bro. I almost talked over the fan chants because it's been that long, Wolf. And thankfully, I caught myself. We managed to hear the cheers, and now we're onto the Rift.
Isn't this like the first match 91 in LCK history?
That's what it feels like.
Because we always just end at 90 and start over in summer split.
Yeah, true. There we go.
Wow.
Oh, man, we are officially in uncharted territory.
History has been made, Atlas.
Who knows what's going to happen now? Actually, it's probably going to be 92 next. It's probably where we're going to get. That's going to be coming up later on. But we don't know. Maybe it's not, because like you say, we have never seen what comes after 90. Sorry, after 91.
That's right.
Yeah, after 90, it was 91. We can confirm that, but only for the first time today.
Just happened. All right. It's so good to be back at the LCK.
Oh,
we get to take off our international caster pressure.
Oh, wait. The tiebreaker. G-Sun just let us know.
Yeah, but the tiebreaker is not match 91, right? It's just its own match in itself. I think it's just called tiebreaker. It doesn't
so that was
actually
still kind of a yeah, I guess it's not a first time because we've had many tiebreakers in the past. So this is officially uncharted territory now. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the tiebreaker would have been the 91st match, but it's not match 91.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad that we cleared that up.
Yeah, no, just I mean, everybody needs to know.
Yeah. All right, well, this is exactly what this lane is going to do. Aiming and Beryl are going to consistently push, hype, and follow underneath the turret until they lane swap. That is what's going to happen. It's likely that Aiming and Beryl will be able to have first move on that swap at the same time, and so it will be all about maintaining tempo around the map here for DK and creating some control. You can see here, though, Closer actually laning pretty aggressively, but that's a great trade back here for Showmaker, standing his ground. Ground, get it?
Yeah.
It's Talia. And we'll be able to even things out quite nicely.
And Closer does get that electrocute to proc and ends up getting the better of the trade, arguably, there. But you said it ends up being a pretty nice snapback for the side of Showmaker. As we'll see where Lucid ends up making his first move. He is pathing towards the top side of the map right now. We're in the early laning phase. That is where the pressure is going to be for Morgan. And same, of course, be true of Kroko. A little bit less impact on the Wukong, though, for E6.
Yep.
And I mean, Sivir, this is what she does. She does a lot of damage in the late game when she ricochets into people and also just auto-attacks them in general. But in the lane, even in these early levels, she just kills minions and she kills them fast.
Certainly does. And I mean, it's not a comp from Bro that is really all that Sivirable. Sivir really likes it when everything's extraordinarily low range and likes to do a bit of a death ball. This Bro composition is pretty maneuverable, right? Like you're able to get around Spirit Rush, Arcane Shift, all these sorts of things. So you're not going to be sharing pixels all that much.
But you're not going to get snared or charmed because you're going to spell shield it in every scenario. So, and as we learned at EWC, you know, it works against Bard's ult as well. So maybe that's why they decided to go for the Nico instead.
Yeah, could be the opportunity. As of course, Pop Blossom, a very big cooldown for denial as well with that spell shield. You only have one though. There is, you know, the theory that what you do when someone has a spell shield is you just bring way too much.
Yeah, the Wukong is the big problem.
Interrupters. Okay, Beryl. The heal is going to come on out here as Aiming will soak a Mystic Shot, but now it's his turn to take a bunch of damage. And the Mystic Shot they're missing is going to spell the end of it. But Beryl, let's start a little slow, shall we?
Beryl is going to try to guarantee
okay, never mind.
back.
I'm never going to talk to him ever again. As that's a lie.
It ends up being just a trade of heals. I think it's really important that Bro stop that back, because if they get away with the back, then it literally doesn't mean anything for Beryl. Even though it's a trade of summoners, it's a huge win for Bro, because now they can desync these backs and even force Lucid to hang around here.
Yeah, he's actually looking for a bit of an angle as Aiming will avoid a little bit here. Is sped up as the Karma makes their way back in. There's a heroic charge. Poly taking a little bit of damage, but it's not exactly the gank Lucid was looking for. So they are going to be able to make it out. It's the cost of only a heal here in the bottom lane.
So much jungle pressure forced just by, you know, Beryl getting rooted and then him trying to back and Bro looking for the interrupt and Lucid coming over here to try to stop them. And then Croc was like, well, maybe if they over-index into this, then I could get something done. But ends up just being they both back, and it's a CS lead still here for Aiming. Heals down for supports, but could have been a little bit more disastrous there.
Yeah.
Beryl still walks it off, so we'll give it to him this time. We'll allow it.
Yeah, this is, it's not end of the world, not exactly the greatest way to start, but it's fine. We're clutching at straws because, you know, there's a 200 gold lead here at 5.5 minutes. No one's really pulling ahead really anywhere. As you can see, top side of the map, no, I tell a lie. Morgan is doing a really good job against Chiu, but range versus melee and lane bully versus Gwen. That is likely to go this way. We have seen it become the real good matchup here for the Aurora into the Gwen.
That's
as it takes a bunch of damage, exactly. That's so annoying, right? Beryl just walks in, helps take half the health bar of Closer, and then walks away.
Yeah, it's kind of the Ox gank that Ox talks about all the time, where it's super annoying. You're not going to kill me, but you are going to ruin my life and make me have to back without
basically gank their feelings instead of their champion.
Yeah, I mean, look at where Closer is now. He's just going to try to Foxfire his way back to lane as fast as possible as Polu?
Okay, yeah, Beryl's taking Polu for a walk. That is going to be a snare, but otherwise not too much more. I feel like Jonas Strong made us more excited about that moment than it had any right to be.
Yeah,
I appreciate the drama.
I was looking at like Closer's monitor to see if he was actually foxfiring, so I got caught off guard by the pan.
I like it.
This ends up being a relatively quiet early game, right? We had the trade of heals. Morgan was winning the top lane, right? Which is as you're supposed to do, especially with all the jungle attention bottom side there. There's no relief or pressure for Shiu. He just is going to get bullied here. Small lane lead for the side of Closer, but that mid lane has been so incredibly close between those two. And it's really the first team fight we're waiting for to see where things start to eventuate, especially with the, pre-6 Nico and a Karma. There's not a lot of hard engage. There's not a whole lot of, I'm going to force a fight right before Dragon. I'm going to try to use some pressure. We're just kind of chilling. It's a bro game, so it makes sense.
It is definitely feeling a bit bro and brewy. I'm really getting that vibe from it so far. And it's making me feel like we've come home, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly what we wanted. Did you get some good sleep last night? We were off a plane yesterday morning.
I did. My wife took care of the baby last night for me so I could get enough sleep to come here.
What a hero.
Yep, they're the true heroes, the wives. So I'm cool. I got to see my daughter. I was really happy about that. And I'm back here now in the thick of things. So I'm glad I got enough sleep to not to let bro, do me in.
Yeah. I think we're both very lucky. I survived until 10 p.m. and then I slept until 7. And it was perfect. Maybe I will retain like an adult sleep schedule for at least 4 days. I'm really looking forward to it. As Croco and Hype doing some damage here to this Dragon, they will be able to take that one down without a contest. Looks like the Grubs might be the option here for DK, as they do have aiming and barrel towards his top side. And yeah, Morgan gonna have less fun against the Karma Sivir than he was against the Gwen.
Yeah, and now that we're all grouped up topside here, Croco needs to rush in because he's the main part of this fight here for Bro. Without him, they just can't do it. They're so split. Showmaker gonna zone. Yeah. Not a great target for Croco here.
Well, Lucid is just going to steadfast presence his way up. Beryl is tanking a whole lot. True Shot Barrage going to soften him up there as well, but he is going to survive. Aiming wanted to use his spell shield there, but the True Shot Barrage doesn't quite clip him. As here on the bottom side of the map, Shiu might be able to do something here to Hype, who did just press his R button, but it's not really going to allow him to kill an Ezreal, especially when Hype is playing so safe. So Grubs traded for the Dragon.
You know when you have a feeling,
yes,
it can be backed up by facts immediately, so you feel really good about it.
Oh,
I can confidently say, and I had this feeling, and I started to stat it out on my brain. This is the longest first blood in round 3.
Oh my god!
And it's 9 minutes in. We had a really close little group up there where it looked like, oh, maybe Croco's going to engage, but it's just a 2-for-1 Grubs exchange, no commitment, no fight.
Do you know what's also crazy? It's also the shortest first blood that we've ever had.
Well, not yet.
Well, it's going to be. Unless it never happens, in which case...
That's what I'm saying. It could
longest first
0-0.
blood might be in game 2.
It would be the lowest kills ever in an LCK game.
Wait, if we didn't have a first blood in this game, like if no one killed anyone, right, and the Nexus just exploded, would you then count this entire game in the calculation for first blood for the next game?
Would you? So you're saying like add the game time to game 2?
Yeah.
I wouldn't, because I would just say there was no first blood.
Oh, that's a bit of a shame.
It would be fun, and you could do it for science, and it would be accurate, but I feel like it wouldn't be accurate for Game 2's first blood because it's a different game. Sorry to ruin your fun on that.
Wait, but it could be for series first blood.
Yes, no, 100%. It would probably be the longest ever, yeah.
So we could have like a 70-minute series first blood. If there's no first blood in this game, and it's like a 35-minute game, and then you got a 37-minute game with first blood at 36 minutes. Oh my god, it'd be incredible.
The longest
1-minute first blood.
The latest first blood of all time, just to put this in perspective, is 38 minutes and 59 seconds.
So LCK.
Generic Green Wings against Kingzone.
Yeah.
You knew Jenner would be in there. And Bro's in here, the spiritual successor.
It's funny as well because, of course, Kingzone became DRX and Max was on that team as well, and now he's over with DK. There are some vibes.
That's a lift.
Shiu going aggressive here as Morgan is going to bounce to the other side of his circle with the flash forward. Will get the flash out. Needlework almost kills him, but it's not quite enough. As I don't know about that one, Showmaker. He is just dead, and the dream of the 70-minute first blood dies. with Showmaker.
I do think that when you look at how Showmaker moved there, it was kind of reasonable to expect that with all the pressure onto Hype, that Closer would have been rotating down with Crocco to try to relieve that pressure. Showmaker didn't have vision. He just kind of face checked there. It was a pretty tricky move from Bro to go, instead of saving Hype, we'll just trap Showmaker, who's going to look for a Weaver's Wall play, and Hype should be able to get out of here.
That Arcane Shift was fantastic as aiming. Boomerang Blade comes out. Polo with the heal. Will catch up though. And they are zoning, so this is still going to be a valuable gank. They're going to be taking some of these plates as well. Beryl getting to work on that turret there towards the bottom side, but unable to answer that first blood.
So the idea here for Showmaker is, look, they're hiding because all the Hype's on pressure. They know that the pressure is on Hype. They know this. Showmaker wants to set up a Weaver's Wall play. Wants to go over here. He's like trying to rotate it. It looked a little bit worse the second time I watched it than it was in the first. But still, I think Showmaker's idea is they probably won't be there. They're probably trying to help their Ezreal. But they set a trap for him. So even though Hype ends up losing a lot of farm there and does end up losing heal as well for his support, they end up getting the kill. It's a nice trap from Bro.
Really nicely played. And the Bros kind of need this to happen, right? This composition skirmishes so well in the mid-game. Getting that leg up as far as the tempo of the game is concerned is really going to be important. And mid-lane control, paramount here for this composition. You said year of the closer. It's looking like that is continuing here as Xiu does need to be a little bit careful. We are aware that there is a cheeky monkey in that top brush. But he's not going to be overextending or anything like that.
Xiu has just evolved so much since his Challenger days. I mean, it's only been half a year, right? But, like, I think Challenger Xiu looks for a trade there and dies.
Well, Beryl is also looking to die here as he doesn't get hit by one of those Mystic shots, and that is going to keep him alive. Beryl has certainly been playing some fast and loose League of Legends here, as maybe I'm just not used to it. It's been a while since we've casted Beryl. I just need to get back into the swing of it, where he goes as close to dying as possible in every possible scenario. But yeah, just it's not something that you really get used to. As now Showmaker is looking to die again, does use the flash this time. Great charm from Closer, and that will confirm it. Kill is stolen there by Polo, so maybe some infighting on the side of Bro. We'll see whether they can hold themselves together.
It's going to be huge, though, because the Drake is up. It's an Infernal Drake, and Bro already have the first dragon of the game here. Crocco did not have to use his Cyclone, so I think they should be pretty comfortable to start this up. Morgan?
Yeah, going a bit aggressive here as the circle is going to get Xiu out of there scot-free. And snip, snip. Not going to be too much here as the needlework actually hitting, and Morgan missing a bunch of buttons here onto Xiu. Is this just a solo kill? It is! Morgan couldn't get anywhere. He didn't have his flash.
Not the first set of abilities Morgan's missed in this lane phase we've watched. Just looking a little bit uncomfortable on this Aurora pick, but ultimately it's going to be a huge win here for Xiu on the top side. That's going to be a plate, at least one plate going over. They have two grubs here, so might be able to stick it for two, knowing everyone else was just bottom side here. So this Gwen going to get some value. Doesn't greed for two, but we'll get the one at least.
That is a disaster, actually. It's really opened a huge hole as Closer here, closing in on Showmaker.
There's so much vision for Bro, by the way, all over the map, and I think there's plays like this that are empowered by that. Showmaker goes very greedy here in his punish, and then, yeah, Morgan, in this situation here, wants to duel, gets the full Q out of Xiu. Xiu then dodges his weird and gets on top of him, stacks another Q here, and Morgan just struggling to avoid anything there. Could have backed away, but didn't have flash. Very awkward, as Showmaker is going to at least get a turret down here on the bottom side. This game's still relatively even. It feels like a bit of errors, though, on both sides.
I would agree. I think Showmaker certainly getting targeted, but as a Talia, you do have a fair bit of utility regardless, right? You're going to be used for your anti-dash and your wall and all that sort of cool stuff.
Agree.
The Gwen, if you stay behind, will just not really do very much as this game goes on. So it is a fantastic thing here for DK that Xiu gets that advantage. So DK still probably very happy with this position in the game, especially with that first brick now going down. They grab themselves the gold lead once again, and things are looking to be back on track. But you can see the Bros, they are set up for the feats of warfare in one kill, and the others for the objectives, the feats of objectives, as I believe Captain Flowers coined it. We need a real one for that, but we haven't quite figured it out yet.
Teleport for Morgan is coming up right now, and he is going to be able to deal with Showmaker here. And Bro are set up to, if they can get the right engage here, look for a contest of this objective. As, you know, this is the big problem, right? This is what we talked about in draft, is Sivir can just clear these waves instantly, and then it's like, oh, you had Prio, that was nice and all, but now catch this wave and it's mine. I'm taking it away from you. And we will see a bit of a reset there. Crocco actually going to take it back. So it doesn't look like the Herald fight is going to commence as quickly as it seems.
Yeah, we do have Poppy making her way back. There's a Shurelya's done here for Beryl, so he's got the Mantrid Inspire on the hunt and Shurelya's to get out of dodge. Beryl might actually be somewhat safe in this game, at least from this moment on. And that is certainly good news.
He's got a heal for an additional speed up as well.
Oh my goodness. Okay, it's ridiculous. He is going to be booking it all the way around the Rift all the time. All we need now is Cloud Soul and some Mountain Souls.
Why didn't Barrel go for Phase Rush in this game? Come on.
That's actually a really good point, Wolf. I'm not entirely sure.
We know the answer, but I just want to ask the question.
I mean, celestial bodies tend to move relatively quickly, you know, due to the fact that, you know, space doesn't have, like, gravity or air resistance and stuff like that. So, theoretically, a comet sounds fast.
Yeah.
But that's okay. He doesn't need the Phase Rush.
Well,
Just
we're
don't
still
hit enough things.
Still grouped here, and Bro didn't make the call to try to hard engage. They just kept dropping wards in this pit. That this control ward that's been here for a while for DPlus is just going to keep eating up. And Closer can't get in here. I think that just simply might be the Herald take. If aiming rotates up, he's going to clear this wave. And Bro, I mean, they need some sort of flash engage from Palu or something. And Croco looks like he's conceded the point entirely. Although DPlus don't know that, so they do back away as more and more Bro wards get dropped into that control ward pit.
Yeah, that is where wards go to die, ladies and gentlemen. It's sort of like the elephant graveyard from The Lion King. Sheer here towards the top side, just defending against Closer this time around. The reason why I think DK backed away was that Morgan did manage to make it back to base with his teleport off cooldown, so they didn't want to give him an opportunity to make a play, get back into this game. As the Lord has been farming well, if you compare him against Xiu, but otherwise has been struggling just a little bit to get value out of this Aurora. And once again, they're going to be starting off this Rift Herald. Dragon going to be up in just under a minute's time.
Decent value on that True Shot here for hype, but it alone is not going to be enough to contest. Cryo for Closer means they're looking for an angle. Croco also unseen, so DPlus don't know where he is, and he's trying to catch Showmaker. Weaver's Wall too late.
Yeah, Cyclone is going to interrupt it, but I don't know whether Croco is going to be able to do enough by himself. Seismic Shove, not going to get him. Showmaker looking to at least make sure that the monkey wasn't wrapping around yet again. Lucid will take that as the opportunity to take this Rift Herald, though, and he will lose his red buff for it.
You can see Croco is just like, well, I guess I'll get red. I needed that kill to be worth it, because 100% they're getting the Herald now, because Croco was hidden for so long, DPlus couldn't take it, but now that he shows, they're just simply going to get it now. Morgan is pushing this turret down in the bottom side. It will take a little bit of time to get it. It's going to get a TP here out of Showmaker. I think the only way they could have got Showmaker there is a Morgan, you know, Pac-Man with his ult really fast there, but I think Showmaker still gets out. Might have been forced to flash, but at the end of the day, it's a huge win for DPlus because they get Herald, they're going to get mid, and maybe Showmaker gets out with flash.
Does manage to flash over the wall, and Morgan does hit some buttons. We'll see whether Showmaker's going to survive. I think a Q might be enough. The auto needs to be there, and there it is. Croco going to have to flash, though, to avoid dying to the turret.
From Xiu, though, they're going to try to punish, and it's too late.
Yeah, teleport is going to be able to get Morgan out of there, so he teleports all the way back to base. Not going to be able to make it down for any sort of dragon fight, though, as the Charm is going to connect there onto Barrel. Remember, the movement speed? Well, yeah, he presses a bunch of those buttons, and he will be able to get himself out. The heal and the Shirelias being the two main ones, as Hype in this mid lane will now be able to answer that outer turret that fell just earlier on. And I thought that DK would actually be able to use this to get a dragon.
Yeah, but
as it turns out, it's not going to work.
Yeah, they have to spend so much on Closer.
Never mind, that is the heroic charge, and Closer will just get cut down. Aiming grabs his first of the game.
That might be enough Prio to get the dragon.
Yeah, that'll get there, and that will also be feats of strength.
Yeah, it will be. That's the final one here to go over, as Warfare is not enough for Bro. They got two Drakes, couldn't get the Herald, couldn't get this third dragon, so that will be DPlus securing this. Very close game, though, because at the outset, it looked like, okay, they got Herald, they got a turret, but Bro also got a turret. They basically got bottom turret. They got that kill on a Showmaker. It started to feel like Bro had actually traded up here, or unsuccessful, as Showmaker a little bit greedy on this one, survives the initial gank, but obviously there's just too much damage to take him out here. Even with Morgan tanking the turret, they juggled it actually really well. Croco didn't need to flash there, but didn't know necessarily people were coming back down, so wants to keep that health. Closer gets punished, though, in return, and that should be the first Drake of the game going over to D+. But, man, if Bro had gotten that third one, it would have felt real rough. Mountain Soul point early in the game.
Yeah, that would have been nuts. Bro would have been well and truly set up at that point. This time around, though, it is DK starting their mountain stacking. And a quad mountain with a Gwen on your team doesn't sound like something that I'd really want to deal with, not to mention the Poppy as well, that is going to be nigh unkillable more than she already is. So a very scary prospect if DK can retain control of that Dragon Pit, but still great for the Bros to be able to pick up those first two Drakes and make sure that DK is as far away from Seoul as possible. 21 minutes into this game now, and a 500 gold lead, something like that. It is time to talk about like who has the better 50-minute composition, you know, Wolf?
Yeah, I would argue, okay, we're going to have a bit of a scuffle over this Gromp.
Yep, it's going to be a denial of Croco to be able to escape as well. Still doesn't have that flash back as there's the ulti onto 2. Croco just wondering where he wants to put his Cyclone, finds the double knock-up onto the bottom lane, and will be able to make his way out. And Morgan will survive as well, but DK putting on a lot of pressure. Shiu dancing underneath this turret will be able to demolish it and get another one on the board here for DK.
Another win here for D+. Croco with some nice movement there does survive, but barely surviving and then losing a turret topside is not really a success story, I think, for Bro. And the Sivir, who's just been able to constantly clear, is starting to become quite large. I was going to say, I argue that the situation is way better for D+ in this game. Even if you look at like the fact that both mid turrets are gone, both outers, you could say, oh, that's really good for Bro because they've got an Ahri Wukong comp. Maybe they could wrap around. You're never going to wrap around. You're never going to have vision. You're never going to have that prio because guess what? Sivir exists. And now there's no mid turret to even catch her wave, so somebody always has to be there. And Ezreal is never going to be able to match that. So even though it's a trade of mid turrets, I think this is massively in favor of D+. Just gives them so much more map control. And look at the vision they have with it as well, with the tempo they picked up after that fight where they got closer. They're just not going to let it go. In fact, they've got their eyes towards a potential Otacon start.
Yeah, they could be able to grab that because like you were saying, control of waves, something that they've been able to do. Still, many teams have lost the game at the Otacon pit.
Yeah,
so I like them playing a little bit more reserved.
They do have teleport for Shiu, who's unanswered in the side, and they are starting to now group up here. So maybe with that Sivir damage, they could actually start it. But instead, just playing around the fact that there's no vision for Bro on Otacon, and that they could be doing it to get that extra map control.
Yep, Lucid, you're just going to tank a True Shot Barrage for fun. And aiming, look at this. Look at this gameplay. Kills the control ward and the wave at the same time. Feels amazing. And Bro now going to be able to move down and will be able to get some answering vision as the control ward will be replaced to deny Closer the money. Charm comes in. Lucid, I don't know. Not sure about this one, but he does survive for a while before getting put down. There's the flash forward from Closer, and it's a great spell shield from aiming to keep him alive, but still feels like the damage is kind of being done.
There's no jungler for D+ now. I mean, the damage here is not massive for the composition of Bro. It is an Ahri comp, but she's got Liandry's. I think they could still start this up and look for a turn. And in fact, with the push that you're seeing in mid, it looks like D+ are just going to trade this for inner. And they also have that Gwen on the top side. Someone needs to defend. It's going to be Morgan.
Yep, it's going to be an ulti used just to demolish the wave and do some damage here to aiming. As there it is, Otacon will be taken down here by the Bros.
And you know, you have the vision control. You can look for turns. You can play around that vision, but being where Lucid was is just not allowed, unfortunately. Atlas, like, Bro, we're like, oh, we don't have any vision, but for some reason there's a Poppy out here. That doesn't make sense, and they're definitely not on the Otacon, so I guess we'll just take the free kill.
They also just watched the ward go down.
This is the one, and like you said, they saw the ward. This is the one place where D+ doesn't have any vision, is in this tri-brush, and there's no one outside of Morgan's Aurora showing on the map, so aiming loses his flash. His spell shield is fantastic, but that's a huge win for Bro as well, and still relatively close game. I like the position here for D+, but Bro, kind of getting away with murder there.
Yep, fighting back. And Otacon is so incredibly strong as well, and will only make them stronger as this game goes on. This buff is pretty nuts, so could be an avenue back in. We already mentioned how good they are in these team fights and skirmishes. That's if they can deal with the Poppy problem. And, you know, Taliyah making it impossible for, you know, half the team composition to use their abilities, that sort of thing. But still, DK, their composition is about controlling map states and things like that, right? It's about the setup, not the actual execution of a fight. So if there ever is an honest 5v5, Bro should be feeling real good.
Yeah, Bro finally kind of get that honest setup here because they had enough control. They can actually look to start this dragon and look for a turn. Paulo in perfect position for a flash Pop Blossom.
Well, there's the Cyclone as ulti comes on through. That gets rid of the Ahri. That could be a big deal, actually, as the clone will be dealt with. And Morgan going hyper-aggressive. A lot of damage here as Lucid trying to make his way out of shoes, flashing forward. Morgan will be taken out. The Gwen is a menace, but will be eliminated. And the Bros pretty happy with how this has gone so far. A lot on cooldown on the side of D+. They only have a wall and a dream right now.
Yeah, and that was the one time Bro had prio. The one time the Sivir didn't just rip them away, force them to defend. And unfortunately, Paulo just isn't able to close the gap. It's the Wukong engage here first for Croco, but doesn't hit all the targets they're looking for. The ult still goes off for Lucid. Paulo really hits nothing of value with his ultimate, and that's the combo they were looking for. This allows, with the overchase here, for Shiu to come in and just delete Morgan, and he does so much damage that the fight here, unfortunately, now unplayable for Hype, who shifts in and has to promptly flash out on the Ezreal, and we go again.
Yep, we are just back into the same game state. Teleports up for both top laners, and so we re-enter the Thunderdome once again.
But that was now the Prio's gone. You know, now the engage angles here for Bro are gone, and this is where the fights get so much tougher.
Yeah, the setup is pretty good here for DK, as we can see. Control vision all over the place. Even the Dragon going on a little bit of a wander here, which one we like to see. Shape Splitter will be able to get a bit of vision here for Polo. And we are yelling Oba a lot, but otherwise not too much more, as DK will start off this Dragon.
Now Paulo doesn't have Flash, so they're not worried about it. They're not concerned about that Pop Blossom re-engage.
In fact, no one has Flash on the side of Bro. Lucid does have his, though, as the Weaver's Wall comes on down. A little knockback there onto Hypers. It was almost a 50-50, but not able to get over that wall, and DK just lock him out and take it down.
That's the kind of shot calling I think it's been missing for Bros.
Here we go. Cyclone comes in. We'll need another one, though, if he wants to knock up aiming. And now he's just getting kited, put on a leash, and taken down. Not something you're supposed to do, I think, with monkeys, but that is fine. DK will be able to just take down the jungler, and Croco, a bit of desperation there in that play.
This Gwen just getting tankier and tankier. That's a nice try with the trinket, but not enough damage, I don't think, even necessarily to get the kill there, but it is avoided by both. Good reactions on the side of DPlus, but I misspoke. I meant to say this is the kind of shot calling was missing for DPlus, not Bro, at the end of round 2. Look at how careful they play this. They leave nothing to chance. Shiu has the wraparound angle if there's a heavy commitment in, and when that commitment comes, everyone on DPlus is already split. Lucid's got the ult here on the cross, and following up on Croco's engage is just not possible. It's literally impossible. DPlus are like, I know everything that your comp does, and I'm not going to allow any single entry point. And Croco gets desperate there, as Bro are just starting to feel like, okay, this game is very clearly washing away from us. We're losing control super fast. We have to go for a desperate engage. Maybe we'll catch them on split backs, but they certainly did not.
And I'm not entirely sure whether, I'm pretty sure Wukong's Q blocks, takes down Spell Shield. And if that is the case, then the Spell Shield timing from aiming was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure it was...
It does take away the Spell Shield.
Yeah, so it was Q into ult. And so aiming managed to get it right in that split second before the Cyclone goes off. That was pretty impressive. So you can see why Croco would go for that skill check play, because if he does get the knock up onto aiming, then they're likely to be able to kill him. But because they didn't, they weren't. And then it was kind of over from there.
Yeah, this is a really rough spot for Bro now. And like, you look at the gold, it's all on aiming, which we've never seen that before. He's also only has 1 kill in this game. You know, wait and see how much gold he has. Maybe if he ends up racking up 4 or 5 more. It is looking like it might be that kind of game.
Yeah, and we're in uncharted territory, Wolf, as far as like we've never seen a game 91 before. But even in this uncharted territory, I think we know who the Gold King's going to be. It's just how it kind of goes.
It is how it is currently going, as he has 40 CS over Hype in this game. The Sivir, to me, was the big crux of this composition for DPlus, because it allows them to do so much with this Gwen side pressure. They already have the Talia that is the glue that links all this together.
And you were talking about the Sivir being just parked in the mid lane clearing waves over and over, and he built a Bloodthirster as if to just like lean into that even more, making sure that even if he takes a couple of casual Mystic shots, it won't mean anything.
The cool thing about running a Karma comp, or one of the best things about shoring up the weakness of the Karma comp is like, yeah, you don't have great engage with that, but you can just say, I don't really care because I always get to sit defensively in vision and brushes, and you have to engage into me because I have Sivir clear. Like, watch it happen. It's just, once again, aiming is like, oh, you had a minion wave there. That was cute. It's gone now.
Yep. And if you can guarantee tempo, you don't need engage.
Right? Oh, exactly. So that's a great way to say, like, we have a Karma lane that doesn't need the engage. Oh, Croco!
Speaking of engage, the wall is going to come in there. Showmaker turning up as they're looking to defend the president, and they are going to be able to do so. Never mind, Morgan, the Lord, will be able to take down the Sivir, but Shiu finds the backline. Look at these low health bars as Hype just barely out of the way of that threaded volley, but it's Lucid that slams him into the wall and takes him down, and they'll grab a monkey as well. DK still coming out on top.
Yeah, still coming out on top here and potentially looking to start this Baron. Shiu is on 3 items on this
A level
Gwen.
17 Gwen.
Yeah, I think that, we lost our AD carry, but we're really not that concerned about it, especially with an Aurora that's ultless is really the only contest. Closer showing insides, and they know they can get this. A cool attempt there for Bro, and I think the best fight they were ever going to get in that situation. Mission accomplished in terms of killing the Sivir, but there is just too much damage in this top laner. Is this wraparound with Kroko and Closer is super cool. It's one of the only ways you're ever going to find an angle against this insane wave clear in mid, and they are able to take aiming out with Morgan just on the cusp of this, goes back through his ult and gets him down. Can't quite catch Barrel, but they have to go so deep that Shiu does massive damage. You can't play keep away with the Gwen when you're in melee range of a turret, and now Shiu is just like, I do damage to champions, I do damage to Barons.
And now you've got an infinity edge on aiming as well, so it's kind of like a good luck scenario. And if DK had like any of their speed up abilities as aiming was trying to escape Morgan, then it could have just been like a 0 for 2 and then free Baron. It could have been even worse here for the Bros.
You're absolutely right about that. If he lives and then he turns around.
Oh my god. Well, now, I mean, it's still about the same level of awful, but it feels a little bit less bad when at least you get something back. As the Mountain Drake has spawned, that'll be Mountain Soul Point here for DK. The quad stack of mountains might be on the table if they don't just end the game beforehand. Oh god, Shiu does a lot of damage to these turrets. Needlessly large rod now completed. Beginnings of the 4th item. Could be either a Zhonya's or a Death Cap. I think when you go for the rod first, it feels like it's a little bit more Death Cappy, because otherwise I think you build an arm guard.
Yeah, I think in this game you can't build an arm guard because you can't afford it. You know, you're not in the situation to where you can actually look for a big play. You just need damage, you need to buy time, you need to clear waves. And this wave is not cleared, and this turret is cleared by Shiu.
Yep, he is going to be able to break open the base here for the first time as the inhibitor will
One
follow.
more try.
Oh god, the Hail Mary, the Lord is coming in, and the helicopter is just going to stop. That is an immediate landing okay, there was a flank angle, but now they just decide to go in. Shiu is going to fall though, and now the circle is put down, and Morgan is bouncing around and looking for the opportunities here as Hype free hitting, but the threaded volley is going to buy the space that DK need. 50 seconds now though on Shiu, and this Dragon is up. Oh, the seismic shove is good. On to Morgan. And these health bars are getting lower and lower. It is another little spin here
Kroko
for Lucid.
still has Cyclone. DPlus really need to be careful about the retreat angle here. They're trying to figure out where this Wukong is so they can try to get their backs off here. Looks like Bro are just going to concede the kills and look for the Drake instead. Will be Soul Point for them.
Yeah, picking that one up. There's the double tap on the Boomerang. Can we get rid of the jungle? It went down to 43 health. That's kind of insane, but that is Soul Point for the Bros as Showmaker surfing over, looking for an angle, and this position is awkward. Seismic Shove doesn't quite find the mark, but Heroic Charge, that one definitely does, and now Showmaker can throw rocks all around the Bro Glass house, and they will be able to take down 3 in the first salvo. Hype now running the wrong direction, and Closer, there ain't no way you're getting out of this one, says Lucid, and this may just have been the last attempt from the Bros. The old Dragon for Nexus trade to come through.
I have to give it to the Bros. Both of those flank attempts were way better than I think in most cases they would have, but it still just isn't enough. Some creative problem solving, but ultimately DPlus are just too big. Showmaker has the TP back in. They have the Sivir, and they clean up house. DPlus bouncing back here in round 3 was the most disappointing end to a spring season. It's not spring season, right, but to the end pre-MSI.